Good morning, good morning, YouTube, friends and family. I am here to do Brother Lawrence is here to do a exposure video. Yes, I know it's been a while since you've seen my face in the camera. But I have been on pretty awkwardly. I'm here to do an exposure video on this landlord in Virginia. I know I did one previously on Tim Urick, but this is not about him. This is about another one. I'm going to give a little background about him. I'm going to give experience. I'm going to give title. Well, not title, but I'm just pretty much going to give you the straight out honest truth. Because one thing about a liar, in God's eyes, they will never tarry. That's liars, false witnesses, all of that. They will not tarry in the Most High's eyes, in y'all's eyes. As y'all say here in the world Jesus. So, but no, it's Yahusha. Y'all people really need to get a Hebrew. Y'all really need to study more about Hebrew and get to know the Savior more, because church, these synagogues of Satan out here, all lies. But that's in another video. I'm here to do an exposure video on Steven Lapradd. I believe he goes by Lance Lapradd. I seen it on a couple of his photos on profiles on Facebook, but I blocked them from mine because there is a legal situation that's going on between me and him right now, and he's a charlatan. I'm just going to put it out here. This is not to bash. This is not to scald. And this is not to tear down, but in Ephesians 5:11, we have to rebuke evil. And the Lord want me to do this video today in regards to what happened. But we did go to court. He lied, and the guy that stays at the house on 914 Tazewell Avenue in Roanoke lied as well also. They both raised their hands and blasphemed the Holy Spirit and lied. The only one that was there telling the truth was me. So I want to clear that up as well. That judge, I don't even really want to get into him about him too much. He just needs to go somewhere and retire. He was a bad judge, a charlatan. Let's just put it that way, a charlatan. But let's talk about Steven. I'm going to be talking extra loud some, and because there's a lot of music in my background and it's awfully loud and it's something. But that's another story too. I met Steven back in January earlier this year. I was actually meeting with him prior to that. Excuse me. It was back in 23, but he was a no-show to an appointment. And given the fact that we had bad snow back in January, that appointment times were changed and they were flexible. He was supposed to meet me at 1 o'clock at the unit, but he didn't get there till like sometime after 2 o'clock. Honestly, I almost left, but he did end up having the guy that stayed there, Chris, meet me. Something he should have done in the first place is had them meet me at 1 o'clock or a little after 1 to come see about the room. I did rent a room for him for a short time from January 6th up until April 16th. Although I'm a traveler, and I did mention that to Chris that I was between, in North Carolina and Roanoke, Virginia, and I was. That part is true. But he tried to take it and use it as though I kind of didn't tell him that until like at the end, and that's not what happened. I'm going to get into him as well. He should be also sued, but this is really about Steven and Chris at that address. It's a room and house. It's a building's A as an apple, which is one person stays there. It's like a studio, or it could be a room. A is for one person. B has 4 rooms plus the kitchen plus the restroom. Upstairs, the floors in the restroom is terrible. They look like they're caving in. See, I was only there at night because I really kept to myself there. I didn't associate with them guys, and it's not that I was acting like I was better than them, but light and darkness, they don't feel the shit together. And I don't be around people who are cursing and drinking beer and just completely disrespectful. And it's just very dumb, very completely disrespectful, uneducated. But nevertheless, C, I believe it's bigger than B. B has a kitchen upstairs door. There's a room when you first come to the hallway. There's a room to the side on this side, which is 2. There's 2 other rooms right there in the dead back of the hallway. There was really no light in the hallway over there. And Steven seemed like he was an okay guy to rent from. I didn't really have any problems in January. The only problems I had there was with the guy in the first room, because nobody's there, the boss, and the guy at A. He kept messing with the mail, my mail. I tried to tell Steven, but it's like telling a dead wall, and that dead wall ain't gonna speak back to you. Complete waste of time. They all smoke, they all drink. None of their names are in the book of life. If they die, hell is where they'll end up. None of them knows God. I asked him that a long time ago. He gave me 3 words about Steven. 3 words about Steven. Murder, greed, control. Murder, greed, control. Yeah. Murder, greed, control. I will get into that further. But for January, I didn't really have any problems with the mail between North Carolina and getting my mail at that address. I never told him what he said. They tried to add lies to, like, I was trying to get a P.O. box set up in Virginia. No, I wasn't going to get a P.O. box set up in Virginia, because I already had my own P.O. box in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I wasn't going to get a P.O. box there, nor a license, or anything else there. I wasn't going to change any of that there, because I'm from North Carolina, and I need that. That's where I need to keep it. And when I was in Virginia before, I had a license in Virginia, and I don't like the way they operate when it comes to license, because they do everything all at one time, which is good, but it's all a money thing. So with that being said, everywhere pretty much is a money thing. So, but he's not who you think you are, people. He has several mug shots. He's a charlatan. But I'm gonna get into that. The first month in January. I mean, again, he seemed like he was pretty cool. But I saw a lot of problems to it along the way as well too, as I met him. But I didn't want to really judge him. Although I should have been judging him righteously, which I am, and I even did at that time. But he seemed to be a good one at that time, a good one to rent from. I could have went somewhere else and rented. And going forward, I will, because I will never rent to a crook like that. He's not a good landlord anyway, and I would never rent to somebody like him. So that's January. So as far as their mail and all of that, because they got crackheads, hotheads, and all of that in that particular neighborhood, your mail is likely to get. You're likely not to get your mail, or it's likely to get misplaced. But I never tried to get a P.O. box there, and Steven and Chris tried to turn it around like that's what happened. Or they rehearsed their lies, and you could tell it was rehearsed. I could. I just wish that sorry judge could have saw that. I believe he did, but just went by what he thought was best, and then up here adding law into it. So that was in January. The rent was $600 a month. It was due on the 6th, and he was paid on the 6th, of course, for January. And we're gonna go into February now, but that's January. In February, not much problems. The problems with A still, and the one that stays in the first room, a jerk. I didn't pay him any attention, because I used to get them together and just going about my way. I used to let him know that he wasn't the boss, which he wasn't. You got people that think they run places and they think they can run people. Not here, and not with me. I don't fear him, and I don't fear no one. Only one I fear is the Most High. So with that being said, as I'm talking about these evictions, talk about eviction cases too on my channel, because I just talk about that as well. When the Lord leads me to this today. March, he did ask for the rent. 2 days, a couple ahead of time. And, I didn't mind at that time, and I didn't think nothing of it. But to just pay him. Because I had it, and it was available. I'm like, okay. I didn't message him saying it's really due on the 6th, but I went ahead and gave it to him. I gave it to Chris to give it to him, as well as February payment as well. So, we're talking about January, February, March being paid. And I didn't really have much problems in March. I didn't really have no problems in March. I needed a physical receipt from him, and I texted him asking for a physical receipt. This slumlord was so sorry. He would not give me a physical receipt. Yes, I had the bottom of the money order, but that's not the same as a physical receipt. Any good landlord will give you a physical receipt. He didn't do that. That was never done. So that was the message. And also, I've never seen a place where the doors are locked from the inside and you can still enter from the outside. Yeah. Don't move to this place. It's 914 Tazewell Avenue, Roanoke, North Carolina. A as in apple, B as in boycott, C as in cotton. That place has been there since 1890. It would be a good place if it was ran by the right person, and Steven is definitely not the right person to run it because all he cares about is making money. He had a tenant. A tenant told me there one time that he was there he had changed a lock on the back door, which that's not what tenants do. And I asked him, did Steven reimburse him for that? I'm talking extra loud, as I said at the beginning. He said that he doesn't. He said Steven doesn't reimburse him, and he started talking about the guy down there in A, how he replaced the restroom in A, and the toilet in A. I'm sorry. He asked Steven could it be reimbursed, and Steven wouldn't reimburse him. So, given those thoughts, and given the truth in that, I asked the Lord, was all that true? And he said yes. So, that's something I found out. That's something I found out in March as well also. So, I asked for the receipt back before I left on the 20th because I was going out of town, and I did. I went out of town. I went to Cornelius. I needed to take a break from Virginia, and I left on the 20th, and I text Steven on the 20th. It was 2:38 p.m. on the 21st. I'm using the Wi-Fi though. About asking, about that I'm going to be out of town, and that the rent, reach out to me around the 6th. His reply was, I'll be in touch on the 4th, and that was on March 21st at 4:38 a.m. And I asked him about the bottom lock through the emergency doors, because when I first moved there, he gave me a key to the room that I used to rent from him, and the key to the back door, which is the back door in the kitchen. And he didn't reply. You can go out the door, but if you don't lock it from the inside, you can enter it. That's what I meant by I've never seen a place it's locked on the inside, but you can still enter from the outside. On the 6th, which was on a Sunday, I was in Chapel Hill. This is where they lied. Him and Chris lied. Chris lied and said that I knocked on this door and told me that I was moving back to North Carolina. The angel of the Lord don't have no record of that. The Lord don't have no record of that. I have no record of that. If that was so, that would have been written down and recorded, and it would have been true. If it was true. It won't true. His message on April 6th at 11:29 a.m. Steven, hey buddy, good morning. I wanted to touch base with you about the rent today. It is the 6th. I know you said you were going out of town, but was going to pay money. That was at 11:29 a.m. My reply was, good morning. Good morning. I'm still going to pay it. Problem is, I won't be able to access the full amount because, like, at certain ATMs, you can't. At the ATM, you can't access a certain amount if you've already spent a certain amount on the card. And me, I've been swiping it, using it. So yeah, as a traveler. Okay. Some on, peeps. Some on. Stay with me. I couldn't be out that. To make a long story short, I couldn't access that amount from ATM, so I had to wait the next day, which was the 7th. On the 7th, I had to go get my car worked on. I had to get my brake pads fixed because I've had my car for like 7 years. I had my brakes changed the first 2 years of it, but it was time to get the brakes changed. It was time to get the rotor rotated as well also, and that's what happened. I ended up having problems after that, and this is where the problem comes in afterwards. I mean, that place already had problems, and this landlord already had problems long before I came in and left anyway, and there's still going to be problems because this was all about greed, and this was all about a dollar, but mainly both basically control. I'm going to get into that. Let me finish reading the messages. So, on the 7th, at 6:12 p.m., hey bud, this is from Steven. Let me know when you go to MoneyGram. Go pick up. I just got off work. I recall that message, and I got that message right here to verify it. So, no, I have not came back to Virginia yet. This was on the 7th of April. He did message me. I messaged back saying it'll be soon. I just got my truck back from waiting all day. It's been a rough day for me. It was a rough day. And that was on April 8th at 4:17 p.m. He replies back, hey now. Now this was on April 9th at 12:31 p.m. I replied back saying I haven't forgotten you. I'll need you to work with me this month, and that was due to the brakes. That was due to the brakes on getting fixed on the 7th of April when I was in Clayton, NC. At that sorry Jag Automotive. I did a separate video about Jag Automotive, exposing them. So I did reach back out to Steven after his reply. What's going on here? It's April 9th. That was on April 9th at 12:33 p.m. Incoming call. That was an incoming call. He called me. It was from Steven, his number, the 540-676-7694. I answered. I said, hello, Steven. Let me turn off the heat because it was hot. It was hot. About to burn up. I said that. That's what I said. Okay, Steven. It's about the rent. Lapradd's response was, today is the 9th. I mentioned to him that, about the car, and I mentioned that there was problems. I mentioned that there was still problems after the car was taken out and they looked at it and worked on it. That I had problems with the place that fixed it in Clayton, and I did it after Big Ring, but he replied back saying that, and that's where the money went. The money went to that. The $600. So that means I'm gonna need some time to pay that. Unfortunately. Yes, rent, you gotta pay it. I get that. And I do know that going forward, there's different choices that have to be made, but I will never rent to him again. I'm gonna get to that. I've already said that actually. Lapradd's response was, "Well, I am sorry that you're having car problems." He did say that, but paying rent is our priority. You have been a good tenant since you've been here. Living in your car versus having a roof over your head, your car versus your rent. Your rent. It sounds like a sob story. I don't have a problem with you. But by the 11th, I charge a late fee. It's not paid. If it's not paid after that, I usually ask people to pack up. My response, I'm looking like I'm just shaking my head and thinking other things. Honest about him. Lapradd's response was, yes, similar to that. What I said was his response after I said, "You mean like van life?" I did say that on the phone, and his response was, yes, similar to that. After he said, see what you can do between now and then. This was on the 9th of April. I'll help you as much as I can, but by then, see what you can do. Basically, seeing if I try to have it by then, if you can. Okay, that was on the 9th. He didn't call the 12th or the 11th or the 12th, which was on the weekend. The 10th was on a Friday. So I came back to Virginia on the 14th. From being gone March 20th through April 15th, just like I stated to him in the message, and just as it's documented here and recorded as I got it. April 14th. So these are the messages between April 14th through the 16th. No, people, I did not come back on April 16th. I came back on the 14th, that Monday, and I did stay that night. That was the last night I stayed there, because I didn't come in on the 15th because I had some things going on, and some things the Lord showed me, some things that was taking place there that would have been catastrophic. So that was another reason too I didn't come on the 15th. Actually, I didn't have to come on the 15th, but I did anyway. But on the 14th, I did return. I did see Chris. I did not talk to Chris at all. He walked by me in the hallway, did not speak, and I did not speak to him either. I saw Gary. I went to the room. I went and soaked my feet in the room. Stayed the night up until 5:30, because I usually leave at 5:30, because I was only there at night until 5:30 a.m. On the 14th, he messaged me, but I didn't reply on the 14th. We gotta square up or pack up. That was his message, Steven Lapradd. We gotta square up or pack up. That was on April 14th at 10:52 a.m. April 15th at 10:52 a.m. Called me ASAP. I was in a meeting that day, and I couldn't talk to him because I had other things to do, and I still didn't have it at that time. At 4:30 p.m., I checked my messages when I was in Salem on the 16th. I didn't talk to Steven none on the 15th or the 14th when I returned. I checked my messages on the 16th at 4:30. Lapradd message states, "Hey," I gotta say it in his voice, "Hey, Augustin, this is Lapradd. It is April 16th, your landlord. I tried to get in touch with you several times. Your phone seems to be off. I sent different texts with no response. You're due on the 6th. I told you I would give you 5 more days," which is not true. "I will put on your bill that is late. Now we're past that. I told you if it's not paid, you would be asked to pack up. You would need to give me a call, or else I'm going to have to pack your stuff up and sit it out. 540-676-7694. Make sure you call me today, buddy. I will pack up your stuff." That was at 4:38 p.m. when I had checked this message from Steven at 540-676-7694. So I called him back. I did finally call him back on the 16th. I left a message stating that I received your message, Stephen. Yes, my phone has been off. I don't have to justify why my phone was off. I could have been trying to get the money. There was a lot of things that I was doing that, that I had to do. But that's something I was working on, and those were my true intentions. I called him back and I left Steven a message. You cannot do that. You cannot evict illegally, period. Then I hung up after that. I texted him at 4:41 p.m. on April 16th. My message was to Steven. I got your message. Have not forgotten about you. I know Virginia laws and you cannot do that. And I'm going to sit here and read that while I'm sitting here. Because this dumb judge tried to make it sound like this dumb judge, Gerber, I'm going to get into that too. This charlatan as a judge made it sound like all of this was kind of made up because it was suing for $2,800. I'm going to get into that too. It's not $2,800. I'm going to read the laws concerning evictions in Virginia. It's the same for this state, but it's a little different there. Yes, in Virginia, a tenant can sue a landlord for illegal eviction, including rooming houses. A landlord cannot force a tenant out to leave by changing the locks, cutting off the utilities, or any self-help. That's what this slumlord did on the 16th. You must obtain a court order for possessions. Tenants can file a tenant's petition for relief from an unlawful excursion in general district court. It may recover damages, including statutory damages like $5,000 or up to 4 months rent. Return is what that means. Actual damages and attorney fees. An illegal eviction prohibits landlords using the self-help method to evict a tenant. This includes changing the locks, shutting off utilities, or making property unsafe. And given that property won't really inhabitable because in the upstairs restroom in B, the floor tile was terrible, and it looked like the floors were caving in. Oh, it was awful. It was awful, people. It was awful. And if you want to ever sue a landlord or sue this landlord, which I'm going to sue him. I've been suing him. It's called a tenant petition for relief from unlawful excursion. Not a warrant in debt. Not a warrant in debt. Now, a lot of people think they'll probably get $4,000 or $5,000 back. No, you won't get that much back. If you win the case, you will probably get up to 2 or 3 months rent plus the security deposit. This man, there's no telling how long he's been beating people and taking their money and getting by with it. But guess what? He still got to give an accounting before God. Him and lying Chris as well also. They both lie. Chris is not a manager, people. Yes, he stays on the property over there, but he's very worldly. He has all kinds of tattoos, and he can't be trusted. Neither can Steven. He claimed that he was been a landlord for 18 years, but it don't matter how long you've been a landlord. It's how you treat people. It's how you treat people. It's how you conduct your business. It's also making the property inhabitable and safe for folks. And blood folks, that's not safe. He ended up putting the stuff out, which I'm about to get into that. So at 4:49 p.m., he called me, which is 540-676-7694. I answered and put him on speaker because I was in my car getting ready to leave. But I wanted to talk to him first. I did say I had some money, but the problem was it wasn't enough to cover it. It's only like $120. No cash, not in cash anyway, which is what I told him. All over it was $600. Then Lapradd, which is Steven, and I started bickering. I was calm. It's this jerk here that won't calm, but we're gonna get into that. He said he stated that you need to meet us tonight to pack your stuff. I said, you have to do that. You have to do that legally. I said, I'll come with the police. So, and I did come after I stopped at a Walmart in Roanoke. I had to go to the restroom. It's kind of good that I did, because if I hadn't, it probably would have turned chaotic, and he would have been in jail, and Chris probably would have been in jail too. He's already been to jail 2 or 3 times anyway. It's sad. I know. Lapradd stated, "It's my house. It's a rooming house." I said, I don't care. I did. I said, I don't care. It don't matter if it's a hotel. You've been staying there for a period of time, let's say a month. You don't make the payment. You can't just put your stuff out. That's illegal, and that's what Steven did. There was never no conversation about me moving out in advance, because I didn't intend to leave. I didn't, and there was no conversation. And this dumb judge, this kind of went by that, thinking that that was true. At least that's what he thought. I don't know what he was thinking, but honestly, he tried to mix the law and stuff in it, and that still didn't make it right. He said, "You want Lapradd's response?" I did say, it doesn't matter how long you've been a landlord. You cannot do that. It has to be done legally, which it does, as I just read it out. I also said, I don't work for you. I'm almost 42 years old. I have been at 12 or 13 other places, good and bad. I've been at 12 or 13 other places. And I've been at some of the worst of the worst and the best of the best. Nicer places than that. I really should have known better than to move there. I was in Virginia before at a different location, and it was far better than that mess. That crap. I told Lapradd, I'll take you to court. He said, you'll take me to court? I said, yes, you heard me. He did. I said, I'll meet you there with the police back at the 914 Tazewell Avenue. Lapradd hangs up. It was 5:04 p.m. That's when I went on to Walmart before I went to the property next. Walmart, Roanoke. Little ghetto neighborhood Walmart. Okay, I got there at 6 o'clock. It was at 6:07 p.m. Lapradd calls me and says, Augustin, I gotta say it the way he said it. Augustin, your stuff is packed up and the locks are changed. He didn't go through the court. He didn't get a unlawful detainer. He didn't do any of that. He just went in and removed the stuff out the room without going through the court. That's what I was suing him for. So I hung up, and guess what I did? I went and called the police on him. And the police, it was 2 officers. One showed up first, and then another one showed up at 6:08 p.m. at 926 Tazewell, which is a few doors from 914 Tazewell. One officer came. I told the officer the situation. I gave him Steven's number. I played the message that Steven left for me to him, and the officer went and called him. The first officer. Then another officer showed up, and then I started talking to another officer. Yes, we had on the same shoes and the same pants. Yeah, me and the other officer. The first officer came back, and he said that Lapradd, which is Steven, gave a complete different story. So basically, Lapradd lied to the police as though this never happened. Oh, it's obvious that it happened, and it's also recorded. He called Lapradd's number that I gave the officer, which is 540-676-7694. People, he did an illegal eviction. Without going through the court, without doing a lawful detainer, as the law states in Virginia. He's trying to get out of getting sued, and he's going to do that. And he's going to also lie, as I said in the beginning. But I'm here to put this video out to expose him and expose and tell anybody in Virginia, do not rent to him. Do not rent to him because he's money grubbing. He's money grubbing, and he's not what you think he is. He's very unethical, and he's not as smart as he presents himself. So you see Steven Lapradd, go the opposite direction. Go the opposite direction. We have to expose evil in Ephesians 5:11. I'm going to give you a scripture. I'm going to give you a scripture for Lapradd. And that's Revelation 21:8. All liars, all murderers, because he has a murdering spirit. He's a liar. All cowards, all idolaters, all of that will be cast into the lake of fire at the second coming when this world ends. Satan will be there, be cast into a lake of fire. Bad demons in the world will be cast into a lake of fire. And so will the Antichrist be cast into the lake of fire when Yahushua returns. As y'all say Christ, but it's Yahushua. They both officers encouraged me to take out the civil matter, which I told them I would, and I did. The result, we got to start from scratch again. That's the result. Because Judge Gerber, and I'm just going to give my honest take, them judges in Virginia are ridiculous. And he's ridiculous. He knew Steven and Chris was lying. But yet, he went by what he thought he already knew. And most judges are like that. But guess what? All judges that are alive, especially here in this world, are still going to give an accounting before God one day when they pass. And Judge Gerber will give an accounting too. He claimed that he had a clear picture of what happened. He didn't have a clear picture of what happened. He went by what he thought he already knew. That's why I looked at him. He said the case can be appealed after 10 days. I looked at him and said, nah. Because I don't want him as a judge. So that's what happened in that case. An illegal eviction took place due to the $600 not being paid. It was going to be paid, but apparently it just sounded like it won't be Willie-Yah for that to happen. And secondly, this was about not only money but greed and control. And Steven is mad because I got him together, and I told him that he was not my boss, which he's not. He ain't no boss of mine, and I don't work for him, and I never will, nor rent to him either. And I encourage that you don't either. And also, just remember, people, when you stand in places, 3 things landlords don't want to hear. I don't have it. You tell them you're gonna have it, and you don't have it, and I ain't got nowhere else to go. In this case, I was intending that to try to help them. Those were my intentions, and that's what I was intending to do.
Good morning, number 849. Your order is ready.
But unfortunately, since he did all that, I was already done with him. I was already done with Steven. So I did do this exposure video. I'm wanting to do this exposure video just to give clarity on what really happened. And I'm telling you what really happened. So keep in mind that when you are renting from places, even if they're rooming houses, you cannot go without paying rent. You got problems with your car, or you got problems with your kids, some landlords will be polite and just tell you, I understand, but I can't let you stay and not pay rent, because that's like staying on their dime. The case with Steven was more like control. He thought he could control somebody, and he just got somebody that wasn't afraid of him and got him together. I was going to help him, but after he put the stuff out in the backyard, I was done with him. Some things were not recovered. The coffee creamer wasn't recovered. The pictures of the relatives was not recovered. A lot of other things were not recovered that was there, and they were mostly papers. A tenant told me that he did the same thing to him, but he's still renting from him. I would never rent from somebody like him. He came home one day and Steven was sitting in his chair waiting for him. Don't know how true that is, but that sounds like it. That sounds like Steven. Don't rent to Steven Lapradd. If you do, just know what you're doing. Just know what you're doing. So, despite that we're going to have to start from scratch again, and that's fine. I have blocked Steven from all contact from me because I had to go take pictures of where the stuff was sitting because a lot was going on that day when all the stuff was out there in the yard. And I took pictures. I went to take pictures of where the stuff was sitting, and I was not within 100 feet of the property. And he called, and I'm gonna share that message. I got that message. I tried to share all this with Judge Gerber, but Judge Gerber is just a charlatan. I'm just being honest. He's a charlatan, and he don't need to be a judge. A lot of judges that don't need to be judges.
Number 815, your order's ready.
But I did do this. The judicial review system, I did report him. So he will receive a letter of complaint from the Judicial Review Commission in Virginia, from Richmond, Virginia, I believe it is. He will receive a complaint from him because I did report him. People, don't let somebody that truly knows what you're doing and you're professional at this as well. Don't let these people get by with murder. Don't let these people get by with murder. Charlatans like this judge, charlatans like Steven, and liars like Steven, they will all have their place in the lake of fire. I have nothing against him, or the judge either, but I don't ever want him presiding over my case again. And I did indicate that in my complaint to the judicial system up there in Virginia. So the judge is going to receive a complaint by me, through them. So, with that being said, people, and this was on May 1st, 2020, at 9:07 p.m. That was it for that. Know what you're doing. Know what you're doing. And pay that rent. And pay that rent. And pay that rent. I have all the receipts. I have all the evidence that I need to go forward in the starting over process. It's not as much as it sounds like it's going to be, but you need to keep receipts. I'm not going to put all that on screen here because that's confidential for my eyes, and hopefully the next judge that looks at this, somebody other than this charlatan that looked at this yesterday, will have greater sight about it. There was no holes in this story. Steven is a criminal. He's got multiple charges up here. I'm not going to post that here on the screen. Y'all can look him up. He's Steven Lapradd of Roanoke, Virginia. He's in Floyd, Virginia, but he comes up in Roanoke. Steven Lance Lapradd. So keep that in mind, peeps. Keep that in mind. What a total waste of time. But I don't believe you should stop there. I think you should get back up and fight again. With the armor of God, with the blood covering you, you got this, and He will cover you. And I believe that's what He was showing me yesterday through all of this. I truly do believe that, because He allowed that to happen. They think they won, but they haven't. And they still got to die and give an accounting, so. And from what the Lord told me a while ago, it's okay if I share that. They won't make heaven anyway because they blasphemed the Holy Spirit when they swore under oath that they would tell them the truth. And they both lied right in front of that judge. And that judge was dumb enough to fall for that. I'm going to say it. He was dumb enough to fall for that. I don't fear him. I've already written a complaint about it. Because that's wrong. That's wrong. Proverbs 11:21 verses the 11 verse 21. The evil man will never go unpunished. And he ain't gonna go unpunished. He can go get Chris and anybody else that's like him. I don't fear none of them. I'm covered by the Most High, and I don't fear none of them. So that's why I wanted to do this exposure video. If you're gonna rent from Steven, just know what you're doing. Know what you're doing. Know what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, I was more reason to go to Buffalo Wild Wings and celebrate people's birthday.
That's gonna be it for this exposure video. I just want to put this out there because, I mean, this is ridiculous. There was no holes in this story. All the evidence was there. That judge wanted to see and read what he wanted. That's what it was. And no, it wasn't for $2,800 either. It's $2,200. First month's rent, the security deposit, which was $9. February's rent, $600. March rent, $600. So that makes it $21. Plus storage. Storage was like $75. So I'm almost $100. That would end up as $2,200. So that is what really happened. Y'all can share, y'all can like this video. Please share it. And just know what you're doing when you're renting from these folks. Know what you're doing. Know what you're doing. That hole in the wall. That's exactly what it was. A hole in the John Brown wall. And I will never rent to somebody like that again. He's a liar. He's very charming. But I saw right through all that. Even from the beginning. So, please, people, if you rent from Steven Lapradd in Virginia, just know, in Roanoke, Virginia, at 914 Tazewell Avenue, just know what you're doing. Know what you are doing. Other than that, that's going to be a wrap for this video. Y'all do have a prosperous day. Shalom, and thanks for listening to me. Share this, like it, subscribe. I will have more content. But yes, I do talk about evictions here on my channel too. And the Lord led me to do this morning, to talk about this. And here I am, and I've discussed everything in detail. If you want to know more about Virginia laws, Google it. Especially illegal evictions like that. This was not done through the court. This was not done through the court. And the room was not abandoned. It was not abandoned. I was going from March 20th through April 15th. April 14th. I'm sorry, April 14th. Just as I stated. And I came back 14th in the evening. And I didn't come back no more after that until the 16th. After all this had happened. Because I'm not going to be hurried to get something. And I'm not going to be bullied. That's one thing. I don't know nothing about being bullied because I've always stood up for myself. And I always will. With the armor of Yah deep down within me. In Ephesians 6:11. People do have a blessed day. Be encouraged. Don't rent to this guy. Be blessed. Don't not rent to Steven Lapradd. Alright. Be blessed.